Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, and in today's video we're going to be discussing 8 banned cards that you forgot were even on the list. And then I'm going to ask you guys to check out my channel and please subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. So the thing with the ban list is it kind of feels time sensitive more often than not. A lot of times people are only concentrating on, what's current, what just got banned or what needs to get banned soon. And they maybe only look at the past maybe year or two when they think about cards that have gotten banned. But the truth is, there are cards that I feel have been on the list for such a long time that people have forgotten about them. And honestly, it feels like even Konami's forgotten about them. And the game has progressed past their prime, progressed past the time when they're overwhelming. We all know the classic examples, things like Goyo Guardian. It doesn't matter what it's at. It can be at 50, it's just not a useful card right now. And even BLS, Glow Up Bulb, a lot of other banned cards that have come back, Raigeki and Dark Hole, the game's evolved to a point where they're just not as dominating anymore. So, I've got 8 of them that honestly, I forgot were even on the list until I checked recently. The first card's Dandelion. So, Dandelion in its prime when it was at like 2, because it wasn't at 3 for all that long, but when it was at 2, was a pretty annoying card. The token generation was scary when you combined it with really just any of the plant support and things like 1-for-1, but also, Drill Warrior being able to pitch it, leave, get tokens, come back, get it back, or something like Debris, or summoning Debris Dragon, getting back Dandelion, Black Rose in the field, having 2 tokens left to generate advantage from. You can sync with those. These days, I just don't know that Dandelion would really be quite that threatening. I understand that it gets its tokens even when it's attached as Xyz material, but it really just doesn't feel like the plant engine is strong enough to really do anything meaningful right now. I mean, what are 2 tokens going to get you when you can't Xyz summon with them, and they're generally not really all that useful for like anything pendulum related. I just think that stuff like Satellar Knight, stuff like Shaddoll's with cards like Winda and things like the Genlock would just sort of make it not really easy to use. So honestly, to me, Dandelion just feels like it's a bit antiquated, and maybe coming back to 2 wouldn't be such a bad thing. The next card is TG Hyper Librarian. Now, I know that maybe this and Dandelion shouldn't both come back, but I do think that, Librarian's been at 1 for so long that I honestly kind of just, I guess, started taking it for granted and almost forgot that it was even a card. I mean, I understand that there are Quasar combos that can use like 2 Hyper Librarians, and I guess that means more advantage in the end, because you get to draw 1-2 extra cards. But, by and large, I don't really think that TG Hyper Librarian has a broken effect. I don't really think that it as a card coming to say 2 would make this game, wild and crazy. I mean, maybe people would make more Quasar decks, and that's great, but Quasar decks will never be completely overwhelming in the metagame. They're just not consistent enough. I mean, having an extra Hyper Librarian doesn't make the main deck any more consistent. It doesn't solve any of the problems that the main deck has. So having 2 of them just means you'll get a little bit more advantage. Or maybe if your first one gets solemned or something, warning, you can try again. But I don't know, I think that it's perfectly fine if it just decided to come to 2. Next one's Night Assailant. I get why it's banned, but again, it just feels like it's been such a long time and it's just too slow. We already know that flip effects in the game just can't keep up. You don't have time to waste, setting a monster when you could be advancing your board. So setting a monster and having to flip it and, do things like that just doesn't work anymore. And I understand that there is a loop with Night Assailant, 2 of them. If you don't know about it, you should read up on it, but it's not really relevant. 2 Night Assailant doesn't matter. I mean, Tour Guide's at 1 now, so if that was what was holding them back, it shouldn't anymore. And I just really think that the whole Night Assailant looping where you can like go between 2 of them, it doesn't matter. That's just too slow. That kind of advantage is cute, but that was like years ago. Nowadays, decks will generate not only advantage, but actual like field dominance, and Night Assailant won't really be giving you any of that. So I think Night Assailant could come to 2 or 3. Heck, I mean, I don't really know. It just doesn't feel like it should be limited anymore. Next card is Neospacian Grand Mole. Now I know this one's a bit more dangerous, but I don't think that having multiple Grand Moles is all that bad of a thing. Grand Mole, while it is pretty easy out to Xyz, Synchros, things like that, it doesn't actually advance your board game state. That came out weird. It doesn't actually advance your game state. So when you summon a Grand Mole and attack and bounce, you haven't really achieved anything in terms of like making your deck move forward. You've just maybe sort of made their deck move backward. I understand that there was a time when mole locking was a scary thing, when, you know, your normal summon was all you had and somebody had a mole out and, you know, bounced and was able to summon it again. And, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't get out of that little battle lock. But decks these days are much faster than that and much more advantageous than that. Try that against, you know, Shaddolls, Satellar Knights, and like Klee and Nekraz, and really just see how far you get. So I don't know, I don't think that Mole is a threat anymore. I think it's perfectly fine. And the last monster on this list is Tragoedia. Gorz just went to 3 and still no one's playing it. I don't think Tragoedia deserves any less. I mean, the card is kind of better, kind of worse than Gorz. And really, you know, hand traps in general are already less effective. So a hand trap that you can only use in like the battle phase, it doesn't actually stop your opponent from doing anything or really like apply any repercussions. I don't know, I just don't think that would be a really bad thing for Tragoedia to just come on and come to 3. I mean, it can change levels and make synchros and exceeds plays, but like, I mean, come on, loads of... There are decks that can have engines dedicated to doing that. And so, I mean, Tragoedia isn't really that much of a plus. I get that stealing monsters is, you know, frightening or whatever, but it just doesn't really feel like anyone... I mean, if they're not playing it at 2, why would they play it at 3? Next is Book of Moon. Now, I know you guys probably saw this one coming, but I still think that a lot of people have just forgotten the Book of Moon's at 1. There are people who have played this game and have never actually seen a time when Book was at more than 1. And that's kind of scary to think about, because I mean, unless you see how far the game's progressed with Book still at 1. But I think Konami should just go ahead and take a risk and just, you know, put it to 2 or something, see how bad it goes. I get why they maybe wouldn't have wanted to do it during the Xyz era, because it kind of hurts the Xyz mechanic and it can hurt the synchro mechanic a lot. It doesn't really affect the pendulum mechanic, and these days the advantage has just gotten so kind of quick that I don't know that Book of Moon shutting down plays would be game changing. I think it would be giving you an extra turn. Now I see where Book can be pretty scary in the hands of a top tier deck, and I also get that it's a quick play spell, not a trap, which makes it a little bit harder to stop and a little more flexible, but it's just been gone for so long that I think we are desensitized to whether or not it even is a balanced card. So I think that it's worth bringing back to maybe 2. 3 would be nice, but 2 for safety. Next card is Goldsark. We all know pretty much why Goldsark went to 1, just because Dragon Rulers, well, they're gone now. Now I get that maybe Konami doesn't want to immediately bring Goldsark back. Like, let's give the game some time to, I guess, recover, but you know, Goldsark's not that broken. I know there are a few little tiny combos you can hear about, but no one's really running it at 1, and at 2 it would slightly help the consistency of a few slower decks, but generally, I don't know, you know, it'll do all that much at all. So, I don't know, like, I just think it could come back to 2 or something. It wouldn't be a huge deal. And the last card on this list, and I guarantee you some people will not know what I'm talking about, is Wall of Revealing Light. This is a really old trap card. You basically pay life points in multiples of 1,000, and your opponent can't attack with any monsters that have less attack than the amount that you paid. So if I pay 4,000 life points, you can't attack with anything that has less than 4,000 attack points. I get where that, you know, in the past could have been really, really scary to deal with only, you know, 1 MST and a heavy, I guess, but at this point in the game, is that still really all that bad? I mean, we have triple MST and most monsters can destroy back row pretty easily, just on demand almost. Not to mention, really just stopping attacks. There are loads of other cards that do that. So, you know, Level Limit Area B and Messenger of Peace both accomplish the same thing in an honestly easier way. This card's a trap, for Christ's sake. I mean, you have to said it first. I just don't see how... like that would really be all that bad. If it came to 3, I mean, I guess it would feel a bit excessive if people were like running multiples of it, but remember, you have to pay at least 3,000 life points for this thing to be meaningful. So I just don't think it's something that people would be wanting to run multiples of in their deck. So I don't know, give it a try. Like, honestly, that card's so old, I don't think most people like know what it is. So bring it back, I think it'd be fine. So that concludes my 8 banned cards that you've probably forgotten about, or at least some people have forgotten about, most people, Konami even. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. Be sure to leave your thoughts on what are some banned cards that, you know, you feel like maybe have just been on the ban list for so long, it might be worth bringing them back, if only to clean the ban list up a little bit. Some things have been on there for so long. I mean, I know there are banned cards that everybody wants back, but these are just, you know, things that are limited and stuff. So, yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys liked it. Remember to check out my channel and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. I'm hoping to reach subscriber milestones faster and faster. It's really exciting. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, Twitch for live streams. Remember to sign up for a special app submission, the tournament that is being hosted sort of by my fan community. More info in the description. And that's all, so I'll catch you guys later. See ya.